Sir, ready. Manish sir, ready. Start. I'm live, sir. Manish sir. Okay. Very good morning to all of you, my friends. I hope you guys have revised what all I have discussed in the previous session. So let me give you a brief about what all I have discussed in the previous session. Wherein, guys, we started with overheads. When talking about overheads, what is overheads? The indirect costs are basically overheads. Indirect costs can be indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expenses. Further, the overheads are incurred at 3 stages, that is factory, office and administration level, and selling and distribution level. Further, we discussed the process of distribution of overheads, wherein we discussed allocation and apportionment and reapportionment of overheads. So when talking about reapportionment of overhead, we have discussed two situations wherein what if in case if the service department provides services only to the production department and wherein we use direct redistribution method. Now the next situation is wherein service department provides services to the production department as well as other service department. So herein the second part, the first part is over wherein service department provides services only to the production department, wherein we use direct redistribution method that I have already discussed in the previous session. So now let's start with the next case wherein service department provides services to the production department as well as other service department. So in this, there are two approaches possible, that is reciprocal and non-reciprocal. So let's start with non-reciprocal. Herein we will be using step ladder method. Very good morning, everyone. So herein we will be using step ladder method if it is non-reciprocal. Now, let me discuss this concept with the help of an example. So let's say I have three production department A, B, and C, and two service department X and Y. I have three production department and two service department. So let's say here we have to redistribute the overheads of the service department to the production department. So let's say X provide the services as under, wherein 20% overheads will be distributed to A, 30% let's say to be distributed to B, 25% will be distributed to C. When talking about Y, 25% goes to Y. So herein X is providing services to Y. But when talking about Y overheads will be distributed as follows, wherein 30% to A, 30% to B, and 40% to C. Y is not providing services back to X. So this is called as non-reciprocal approach, wherein one service department provides services to the other service department, but the other service department in return does not provide services back to the that other service department. I repeat again, guys, when talking about herein in this case, X is providing services to Y, but Y is not providing services back to X. So this is what we call as non-reciprocal. अगर X को provide करता है और Y वापस X को provide करता है तो it is reciprocal. But if X is providing services to Y and Y is not providing services back to X, it is basically non-reciprocal. Now, the point is how to distribute the overheads. So this This step ladder method says that the service department who is providing maximum services to the other service department will be distributed first. In simple terms, वो सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट जो सबसे ज्यादा सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है दूसरे सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट को, it will be distributed first. So here in this case, X is providing services to Y, but Y is not providing services back to X. So who is providing services to the other service department? X. So in this case, X will be distributed first and thereafter Y will be distributed. Let's take one more situation wherein I have three production department A, B, and C, and three service department X, Y, and Z. Now the overheads of service department will be distributed as follows, that is X, Y, and Z. Let's say 20% goes to A, 20% to B, 20% to C, 30% to Y, and 10% to Z. Similarly, when talking about Y, 30% to A, 30% to B, 20% to C. Now, Y is not providing services to X, but it is providing to Z. Y is not providing services to X, but it is providing services to Z. So herein, it is providing 20% services to Z. Similarly, when talking about Z, it is 40%, 40%, 20%. So Z is not providing services to any of the service department. So again, this is a non-reciprocal method where X is providing to Y, but Y is not providing services to X. X is providing services to Z, but Z is not providing services back to X. So this is what we call as non-reciprocal method. Now, herein, as I said, the service department who provide maximum number of services to the other service department will be distributed first. So herein what we can see is that in this case, who is providing the highest number of services to the other service department? X. Because X is providing services to Y also and X is providing services to Z also. So herein X will be distributed first. Thereafter, we will check Y. Y is providing services to Z. So Z will be distributed thereafter. And last and final, Y will be distributed thereafter. And last and final, that is Z will be distributed. So वो सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट जो सबसे ज्यादा सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है दूसरे सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट को will be distributed first. So herein we have to first figure out the order of distribution कि किस सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट के ओवरहेड्स पहले डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे और किस सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट के ओवरहेड्स बाद में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करेंगे. So this is what we call as step ladder method. And this method will be used in non-reciprocal approach. If you guys have any doubts in this part, I'll be discussing this question with the help of a practical, with an example. But the first point is that we have to figure out that what will be the order of distribution. पहले किसको distribute करेंगे? So I have explained this concept. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your queries. I request you guys to please copy this explanation. I've already discussed in the previous session, Sushil. Very good morning, my dear. Good morning, Mamta. Good morning, Prashant. Good morning, Rajiv. Very good morning, Devraj. Now let's take one more situation. Now, here is a question for you guys, wherein there are three production department A, B, and C, and three service department, that is X, Y, and Z. I have given the situation wherein X is providing services only to the production department, Y is providing services to X and Y, X and Z is providing services only to X. So, guys, can you please post the answer that what will be the order of distribution? Waiting for your answers, guys. You guys have to post the order of distribution, that is पहले किसको distribute करेंगे. So, waiting for your answers, guys. Good morning, Neha. Okay, so Manish Kumar is the first one to answer. And I think, Manish, your answer is correct. Very good. Waiting for your answers, guys. किस सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट के ओवरहेड्स पहले डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होंगे? What will be the order of distribution? Waiting for your answers. I've got answer from Manish Kumar. Okay, so Pratna Sarthi, correct answer. Anmol, correct answer. Miss Vadlamani, correct answer. Akash, Hemant, Prajakta, Priya, Gumti, very good. Shyam, good morning. Everyone, correct answer. Shweta, please be clear. I think I have not received your answer. Good morning, Nishit. Avinash, please check. Your answer is incorrect. Nisha Kumari, incorrect answer. So herein, when talking about the order of distribution, see herein what we can see is that Y is providing highest number of services to the other service department. Y is providing to X also and Y is providing to Z also. So Y will be distributed first. Thereafter, Z is providing services to X. So X will be distributed thereafter. And sorry, Z will be distributed thereafter. And last, X is providing services only to the production department. So X will be distributed. So this will be the order of distribution, that is Y, Z, and X. Very good, Jennifer. Very good, Shweta. Now your answer is correct. Mamta, please check wherein वो सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट जो सबसे ज्यादा दूसरे सर्विस डिपार्टमेंट को सर्विस प्रोवाइड करता है will be distributed first. So herein Y is providing services to X and Z, so Y will be distributed. Thereafter, check Z is providing services to X, so Z will be distributed. And X is not providing services to any of the service department, so it will be distributed last. Madhav, let me check. Very good morning, Sakshi. Yes, Madhav, very good. Your answer was correct. So, this is all what about the step ladder method, that is how to find out, how to figure out the order of distribution. Now, let's discuss a full-fledged question on step method or step ladder method. I'll be discussing a question from study material. So, I request you guys to please open your study material. I'm discussing illustration number 2 from the study material. So I request you guys to please open your study material. Very good morning, Preeti. Very good morning, Sakshi. Yes, Sushil, now your answer is correct. Madhav, I'm getting your answer. Don't worry, my dear. Miss Zahida, your answer is correct. Very good. Mr. Prudunan, please check. Your answer was incorrect. So now let's start with illustration number 2. Yes, Manohar. Yes, Manohar. I'll be discussing the reciprocal method thereafter. So let's start. I'm discussing illustration number 2, page number 4.20. So let's say there are two production department and two service department. Production department is A and B and service department are X and Y. And we have to distribute the overheads that are given. So let's start, guys. So there are two production department and two service department. Production department are A and B and service department are X and Y. So now we have the question is providing us the information that is the overheads after allocation and apportionment. So overheads after primary distribution. Overheads after primary distribution. When talking about this term primary distribution, I'm repeating again and again, that is after allocation or apportionment. So these are the overheads after allocation or apportionment. So the overheads are given where in the production department, A overheads are 3 lakh. Production department B 3,20,000. When talking about X and Y, it is 2 lakh and 1,50,000. Now see, here in department X is providing services to Y, A, and B. But Y is providing services only to the production department. So this is non-reciprocal method. So we have to use step ladder method. So here in X is providing services to Y, but Y is not providing services to X. So who is providing the maximum number of services to other service department? X. So X will be distributed first, thereafter Y. So overheads of X. The ratio of distribution is given herein. 40% will go to A. So 80,000, 70,000, and 25% to Y. So this will be 50,000. Thereafter, overheads of Y will be distributed. So overheads of Y are 1,50,000. After distributing the overheads of X, the total overheads of Y department will be how much? 2 lakh. 1,50,000, that is the overheads that are after allocation and apportionment, and 50,000 the share in X. So total overheads of department Y are 2 lakh. So 2 lakh will be distributed as follows, wherein the ratio is given, that is 40% and 60%. So this will be 80,000 and 1,20,000. So this will be 4,60,000. This will be 5,10,000. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. Here, the name itself says step ladder method. See, if it is one more department, then it will go like this. So that's why we call it a step method or step ladder method. So if you guys have any doubts or queries in this part, you guys can please post your query. Waiting for your queries, guys. I request you guys to please copy the solution. Yes, examiner do ask questions on step ladder method, Rehan. So now let's proceed further. We are done with reciprocal, sorry, non-reciprocal. So now let's start with the next concept. That is reciprocal. In reciprocal, okay, so I've got queries from Preeti Khetan and Ansari Tahira Haq. So Preeti, 1,50,000 were the overheads of Y and 50,000, that is the share of the overheads of X. So total overheads of Y department after redistribution is how much? 2 lakh. That is 1,50,000 originally distributed and 50,000 the share in overheads of department X. So total overheads need to be distributed because at the end of the day, whatever the total cost of service department, we have to redistribute to the production department. So that's why I have added, that is the original overheads, that is after primary distribution, that is 1,50,000 plus 50,000 extra, that is share in X. Total in aggregate 2 lakh need to be distributed to the production department. So now let's start with the next part, that is reciprocal, wherein if X is providing services to Y and Y is also providing services to X. Now the point is how to distribute the overheads of the service department to the production department. Now in reciprocal, I have discussed, as I mentioned, that there are total 3 methods: simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and error method. In all these 3 methods, see, these 3 methods are different, but yes, in all the 3 cases, answer will be the same. So guys, let's start with reciprocal approach. So I'll be discussing a full-fledged question. So I request you guys to please open your study material. I'm discussing illustration number 4. I'll be discussing a full-fledged question, that is illustration number 4, wherein we'll be discussing the primary distribution also and plus the reapportionment as per reciprocal approach. So let's start, guys. So Sanj Limited is a manufacturing company having 3 production department, A, B, and C. I request you guys to please open your study material. I'm discussing illustration number 4, page number 4.23. I hope your query is resolved, Preeti and Miss Ansari. Prashant Kumar, any other queries? So let's start, guys. Illustration number 4, Sanj Limited is a manufacturing company having 3 production department, that is A, B, and C, and 2 service department, that is X and Y. The following is the budget for December 2022, wherein the direct material, direct wages, factory rent, power, depreciation, other overheads are given. Here an additional information is given as regards area, capital value of assets, machine hours, horsepower of machinery. Further, a technical assessment of the apportionment of expenses of service department is as under. So they are talking about reapportionment of overheads of service department to the production department. So what we can see is that department X is providing services to A, B, C, and Y is providing services to A, B, and X. So herein what we can see is that X is providing services to Y and Y is providing services back to X. So this is what we call as reciprocal. That is, X is providing to Y is providing services to X. So this is reciprocal. So you are required to prepare a statement showing distribution of overheads to the various departments. So they are talking about primary distribution. Thereafter, they are saying that prepare a statement showing redistribution of service department expenses to the production department using trial and error method. So when talking about the second question, I'll be redistributing the overheads of service department to the production department with all the three methods in this question. So let's start with primary distribution. Statement of distribution of overheads. Herein there are three production departments, that is A, B, and C, and two service departments, that is X and Y. Now herein direct material and direct wages are given. So let's start, guys. Herein direct material and direct wages are given. So when talking about direct material and direct wages, so herein when talking about direct material and direct wages, one second. So herein when talking about direct material and direct wages, it will form part of prime cost. But very important, guys, direct material and direct wages of service department will be treated as overheads, because since no units are manufactured, तो ultimately हमें करना क्या है, service department के सारे cost, overheads or whatever it is to be redistributed to the production department. So this direct material and direct wages of service department will be treated as overheads only, because at the end of the day we have to distribute all the costs that are incurred in service department, that is to be distributed to the production department. So this direct material and direct wages of service department will be distributed back to the production department, since no units are manufactured in service department. So herein direct material total basis of distribution and particulars. So when talking about direct material and direct wages, will be treating as overheads only, and we will be direct material and direct wages of service department will be treating as overheads only. So 2 lakh and 1 lakh. So 2 lakh and 1 lakh. It will be redistributed to the production department. And when talking about wages, it is 1 lakh and 2 lakh. So total is 3 lakh and 3 lakh. Now let's start with the next part, that is factory rent. It is given as 4 lakh rupees. Now factory rent will be distributed in the ratio of area in square feet that I have already discussed. So it will be distributed in the ratio of area. When talking about the area in square feet, it is given 500, 250, 500, 250, and 500. So this will be so this will be 1 lakh, 50,000, 1 lakh, 50,000, and 1. Now next is power cost. Now herein, as I said, if the information is given in the question or kuch confusion ho raha hai, to use the most appropriate method. So herein, the power cost in general is distributed on the basis of horsepower of machine. But herein, in this case, horsepower and machine hours are horsepower is given as well as machine hours are also given. So we will consider both these elements, that is machine hours also will be considered and horsepower will also be considered. So we will calculate the total, that is machine hours are 1000 and horsepower of machines is 50. So total 50,000. This will be the ratio of distribution. So here when talking about the power cost, it will be distributed as follows, wherein horsepower into machine hours. As I said, if you're finding it a bit confusing, then use the most appropriate method. So for distribution of power cost, the best approach is that we should consider the machine hours also and the horsepower of machinery. So accordingly, we are considering both these points. So here in 50 into 1000, so 50. So the ratio of distribution will be 50 is to 80. Is to 80 is to 15 is to 20. This is the most appropriate method of distribution. So herein, when talking about the power cost, the total power cost is 2,50,000. This will be distributed in this ratio. So the after distribution, the cost will be 50,000, 80,000, 80,000, 15,000, and 25,000. Next is depreciation. The total depreciation is 1 lakh rupees. And the capital value of assets is given. So the depreciation will be distributed in the ratio of capital value of assets. It will be distributed in the ratio of value of assets. So the value of assets is 20 lakh, 40 lakh, 20 lakh, 10 lakh, and 10 lakh. So this will be 20,000, 40,000, 20,000, 10,000, and 10,000. Next is other overheads. Now, in general, when talking about other overheads, it should be distributed in the basis of labor hours or machine hours. First priority should be given to labor hours. If labor hours are not given in the question, then we should distribute it on the ratio of machine hour. So herein, in this question, no information is given as regards labor hours. So we will distribute the other overheads in the ratio of machine hours. The other overheads are 9 lakh. So this will be 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 4 lakh, 1 lakh, and 1 lakh. So now we are done with primary distribution, that is allocation or apportionment. So let's calculate the total overheads, wherein 1 lakh plus 50,000. Sorry guys, small mistake. So 1 lakh plus 50,000. This will be 2 lakh 70,000. This will be 3 lakh 70,000. This will be 6 lakh. Now, this will be 4 lakh 75,000. This will be 4 lakh. Five lakh 35,000. So we are done with primary distribution. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries, guys. Wish you the same, Santosh. If you guys have any doubts in this primary distribution, you guys can please post your queries. Any doubts, Neha, Kadambri, Prashant, Preeti, Sushil, Santosh, any doubts? Miss Ansari, any doubts? Kiran? We are done with primary distribution, that is allocation or apportionment of overheads. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your queries. Any doubts, Manohar, Sakshi, Jennifer? Okay, so Manohar Yadav, sir, what is the logic behind the power into machine hours? So herein, machine hours are also important as far as this power cost is concerned, and horsepower of machine need to be considered. So as I said that you have to use the most appropriate method for distribution of overhead. That's why I've considered machine hours and power cost. Depreciation is calculated. No, this is primary distribution, Rehan. Now we will start with the reciprocal method, wherein there are three approaches, that is simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and error method. So, thoda patience rakhiye. I'll be discussing this part in detail, my dear. Depreciation is calculated on the value of machinery, Mr. Anirudh. So that's why we have distributed depreciation in the ratio of capital value, capital value of assets. So the solution is there in the study material, so no need to copy, guys. So we are out with the figures of, the total figures of production department A, B, C, X, and Y. So now we'll be redistributing the overheads. Now we will be redistributing the overheads of the service department to the production department using the various methods. So now 2,70,000, 3,70,000, 6 lakh, 4,75,000. These are the overheads after primary distribution. Prashant Kumar, when talking about other overheads, see, these are to be distributed either on the basis of labor hours or machine hour. So if labor hours are given, then first priority should be given to labor hours. If not, then machine hours. Other overheads cannot be distributed on the basis of horsepower of machines. So now, let's start with the reapportionment of overheads. That is the reapportionment of overheads of service department to the production department. So herein, in this case, X is providing services to Y and Y is also providing services to X. So we cannot apply step ladder method. So herein, we can apply either of the three methods, that is simultaneous equation method, trial and error method, and repetitive distribution method. So I'll be discussing all these methods one by one. So let's start, guys, with simultaneous equation method. So now, back to the question. The percentage of distribution is given wherein X is providing services to A, B, C, and Y is providing services to A, B, and X. So X is providing to Y is providing to X. So let's start with simultaneous equation method. Now, X के कुछ ओवरहेड्स Y को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होंगे, Y के कुछ ओवरहेड्स X को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होंगे, और उसके बाद टोटल ओवरहेड्स जो है वो A, B, C में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होंगे. I repeat again, x का कुछ परसेंटेज y को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होगा, y का कुछ परसेंटेज x को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होगा, then only we will get the total overheads of x and y, and these overheads that as calculated will be redistributed to a, b and c. So now हम लोगों के पास टोटल ओवरहेड्स है ही नहीं, x के भी नहीं है और y के भी नहीं है, बिकॉज इसके अंदर भी कुछ ऐड होगा और इसके अंदर भी कुछ ऐड होगा. नाउ द पॉइंट इज हाउ टू कैलकुलेट द टोटल ओवरहेड्स ऑफ x एंड y. So let's assume total overheads of department X be X. Further, let's assume total overheads of department Y be. Let's assume the total overheads of department X be X and total overheads of department Y be 1. So now the total overheads of X will be how much? These are the total overheads. X will be how much? 4,75,000 as calculated plus certain percentage of Y, and it is given in the question that 5% of the overheads of department Y will be distributed to X. I repeat again, please check the question where in service department Y it is given that 5% goes to X. So what will be the total overheads of X? X will be equal to how much? 4,75,000 plus 5% of Y. When talking about the total overheads of department Y, this will be 5,35,000 plus certain percentage of X, and it is given that 10% of department X overheads goes to Y. So plus 10% of X. If you guys have any doubts till now, you guys can please post your query. Preeti Ketan, I am discussing this question with all the methods. That is, I'll be using all these figures to discuss all the methods, that is simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and error method. So I'll be discussing each and every method one by one. So don't worry. I'm starting with simultaneous equation method. If you guys have any doubts in this equation, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries, guys. Hopefully your query is resolved, Preeti. So now let's proceed further. So now we can solve this equation. So X will be equal to 4,75,000 plus 5% of Y. And Y is how much? 535 plus 10% of X. That is 5,35,000 plus 0.10x. So let's solve this equation. We'll get 4,75,000 plus 5% of Y. So this will be 26,750 plus this will be 0.005x. So now let's simplify x minus 0.005x should be equal to 501750. So the value of x will be equal to 504271. This is how the value of X will be calculated. Now, substituting the value of X in equation, let's say this is equation number 1, this is equation number 2. So substituting the value of X in equation number 2, we will get the value of Y. So substituting the value of X in equation 2. So Y will be equal to 5,35,000 plus 10% of what? 10% of X, and we have already calculated X. So 10% into 504,271. So this will be 585,427. So this is how the value of X and Y will be calculated. That is how this is how the total overheads of X and Y will be calculated. If you guys have any doubts in this explanation, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries, guys. This is how the value of X and Y will be calculated. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. Any doubts, Preeti, Madhav, Jennifer, Anmol, Santosh, any doubts? Neha, Ankur, Nishit, Shweta, Vadlakshmi. So Prashant Kumar sir, 0.10x कैसे आया? So Prashant, 10x is what? 10% of x will be how much? 0.10x. 10% of x is what? 0.10x. Last calculation of x. So I'll further simplify it. So x minus 0.005x is 0.995x. So this will be 0.995x equal to 501,750. So x is equals to 501,750 divided by 0.995x. We will get this value 504,271. Mr. Rehan Naik, sir, 5% of Y should be 26,750. Y add another 10%. See, Rehan, X का कुछ परसेंटेज Y को जा रहा है और Y का कुछ परसेंटेज X को जा रहा है. Now, the total overheads of X is not known and total overheads of Y is not known. So that's why we have assumed assume that the total overheads of department X be X and Y. So now we have got the total overheads of X and Y. So let's distribute it to the production department A, B, and C. So we have the overheads of A, B, and C after primary distribution. So overheads I'm writing as calculated. That is 2,70,000, 3,70,000, and 6 lakh. So now we have to distribute the overheads of X. The total overheads of X are how much? 504,271. So of this 504,271, of this 504,271, 45% goes to X, sorry, to A. So 2269, 45% goes to A. So 226922. %15 goes to B. So this will be 75640. And 30% goes to C. So this will be 151,281. We have to ignore the remaining 10% because it has already been distributed to Y. Very important, guys. You have to distribute it via percentage. That is 45% of 504,271 goes to X, sorry, A, 15% to B, and 30% to C. The remaining 10%, that is 45 plus 15 is 60 plus 30 is 90. The remaining 10% is already distributed to Y, so we have to skip this part. Now, when talking about Y, the total overheads of Y are 585,427. So 60% goes to A and 35% goes to B. So 351,256. 60% goes to A and 35% goes to, so this will be 204,900. We have to ignore the remaining 5% because it is already distributed to X. So now we can easily calculate the total overheads of A, B, and C. This will be 2,70,000, 226, 922, 351, 256. So this will be 848,178. Next is 3,70,000 plus 75641 plus 204,900. So this will be 650,541. And last is 6 lakh plus 151,281. So this will be 751. So guys, this is the way you have to solve the question using simultaneous equation. If you guys have any doubts, any queries in this part, you guys can please post your query. Just give me a minute's time. Shweta Maruti. So Shweta, this is the amount, these are the total overheads of X. That is the overheads after primary distribution, plus it includes certain percentage of Y. Wherein when talking about Y, again, this is 5,35,000 plus certain percentage of X. So these are the total overheads of X and Y that is to be distributed to A, B, and C. Okay, so Priyadatta sir, repeat how this equation is formed. So herein, when talking about this equation, let's assume that the total overheads of department X be X and Y be Y. So the overhead still now is 4,75,000. In this 4,75,000, certain percentage of Y will be added. And herein in this question, it is given clearly that 5% of the overheads of department Y goes to X. So this will be 4,75,000 plus 5% of Y. Similarly, when talking about Y, 5,35,000 plus certain percentage of department X overheads goes to Y. So it is 10% of X. So this is how this equation is formed. Anyone else having any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your query. I request you guys to please copy the solution. This is the final answer, giving you 2 minutes time to please copy. Please copy the solution. Priya Datta, hopefully your query is resolved. I'll be discussing one more question on simultaneous equation, so don't worry. Okay, so Rehan, you have to follow the instructions that are given in the question, but if the question is silent, it is advisable to use simultaneous equation method. Or you can use any of the method, all the methods are correct. But yes, first read the question carefully. अगर question में कुछ mention किया है, then follow the method as mentioned in the question. I request you guys to please copy the solution. The same is not given in the study material. Mr. Reddy, very good morning. Preeti, you can use any of the methods. It's up to you. जो method आपको perfect लगे, you can use the method. The method you are most comfortable with. Mr. Dev Kumar Vyas, any doubts? Amol, any doubts? Santosh, any doubts? Sushil, Kiran, Padambari, Madhav, Jennifer, Mamta Yadav, any doubts? I'll be putting up a question. So I request you guys, whatever the queries you have, you guys can please post your query. I want the solutions from your end. The answer will be the same. You can use any of the method. Okay, so there is a query from Harish. Sir, but the overheads distributed to the production department is not equals to the total overheads. So, Mr. Harish, as I said, we have in case of, let me open the question. So in case of X, we have distributed only 90% of the overheads to production department A, B, and C because remaining 10% is already distributed to Y. So that's why the total is not matching because 10% Y ko chala gaya hai. So the figure what we have got, I think it is 504271. If you do 90%, the total will match. This is simultaneous equation method, Shyam. I'll be discussing trial and error method also. So before that, a question for you guys. So let's say there are three production department A, B, and C, and two service department X and Y. The overheads of service department are distributed as follows, wherein 20% goes to A, 30% to B, 25% to C, and 25% goes to Y. When talking about Y, 30%, 40%, 10%, and 20%. Now, the overheads of service department, that is X and Y, the overheads are given. The overheads of service department X and Y are given. That is, let's say, 8 lakh and 9 lakh. These are the overheads of service department. You have to calculate the total overheads of service department X and Y. Overheads after, these are the overheads after primary distribution, that is after you are required to calculate the total overheads of X and Y using simultaneous equation method. So waiting for your answers, guys. Let me complete first, Sushil Kumar. Don't worry. I have discussed simultaneous equation method. I'll be discussing trial and error method also. Don't worry. So let me complete first the simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method. Then I'll move to trial and error method. So I request you guys to please post your answers. You have to calculate the total overheads of department X and total overheads of department Y using simultaneous equation method. So giving you 4 to 5 minutes time. So waiting for your answers, guys. So I've got answer from Nisha, Neha, and Prudunan. Still waiting for the answers. Yes, Mamta, Kadambari, Sham, Jennifer. I have discussed trial. I have discussed simultaneous equation method. Don't worry, dear. I'll be discussing this part also. Still waiting for the answers. Quick, guys. Preeti, waiting for your answer. Shweta. Okay, so now I have got answer from Manohar, Preeti, Harish, Ankur. I think I'm getting the same answers from everyone except Prudunan. Please check your answer again. Harish Chandar, please check your answer. Okay, so Kadambari, again, your answer is matching with others. But no, 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 no. There are some differences. Let me check. Okay, I've got answer from Suman also. Sushil, waiting for your answer. Kiran. Okay, so I've got answer from Prashant Kumar. I think this time it is correct, Prudunan. I've got answer from Sakshi Jha and Ankur Patel. Yes, Avinash and Sushil, waiting for your answers. Jennifer, Mr. Sham Goyal, Shweta. Okay, so now I've got answer from Parth Rana also. I think your answer is correct, Parth. No worries, Prudunan, that's okay. So let's start with the solution. So here, let's assume total overheads of department X, BX, total overheads of department Y, B, Y. So X will be equal to 8 lakh plus certain percentage of Y. And it is given in the question that 20% overheads of Y goes to X. So plus 20% of Y. Similarly, Y will be equal to 9 lakh plus certain percentage of X. How much percentage? 25% of X. So X will be equal to 8 lakh plus 20% of 9 lakh plus 0.25x. So this will be X will be equal to 8 lakh plus 20% of 9 lakh. So this will be 9 lakh 80,000 plus 0.05. So this will be 0.95x equals to 9 lakh 80,000. So X will be equal to so this will be 103 1579. 1579. Similarly, when talking about the value of y, this will be 9 lakh plus 25% of x, that is 103,1579. So this is the correct answer, and I think I've got correct answers from Nisha, Neha, Prudunan, Manohar, Preeti, Harish, Ankur Patel. Please check your answer. Sorry. Prashant Kumar, I'm not sure what exactly I've posted. Sakshi Jha, please check your answer. Rest Ankur, Parth, your answers are correct. Nishit Purohit, please check your answer. Sushil Kumar, correct answer. Avinash Patil, please do check your answer. Rest everyone, Jennifer, Kadambari, have not received any answers from your end. I request, sorry, Kadambari has posted the answer. So Jennifer, Priya Dutt, Neha Harge have not got answers from your end. Shweta, I request you guys to please post the answers. Anyways, done with this calculation. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your queries. For the students who are not able to solve or who are not thorough with the concept, I request you guys to please copy. In the meanwhile, you guys can post your query, giving you 2 minutes time. Parth Rana, yes, I've got your answer and it was correct. Okay, so I've got answer from Neha Sharma. I don't know. Okay, I've got answer from Neha Sharma. No worries, Shweta, that's okay. That's okay, Shweta, no worries. Now, we are done with the first method, that is simultaneous equation method. Now, next method we'll be discussing after a break. So let's take a break of 15 minutes. Thereafter, we'll discuss trial and error method and repeated distribution method. Okay, very Amit Vishwas, let me check. I think you are posting the answer after distribution. No worries. So, sir, please put a break. Welcome back, guys. So we are done with the first method, that is simultaneous equation method if it is a reciprocal situation wherein x is providing to y, y is providing to x. So we are done with the first method, that is simultaneous equation method. So now let's start with the second method, that is repetitive distribution method. So I'm taking the same question. So there are three production departments. So there are three production departments. That is A, B, and C, and two service department, that is X and Y. We have got the overheads after primary distribution. We have already calculated the overheads after primary distribution, that is 2,70,000, 3,70,000, 6 lakh, thereafter 475, and 5,35,000. Now, the name itself says repetitive distribution method. It means you have to repeatedly distribute the overheads. So let's start with the distribution of overhead. Let me just see the question. So again, illustration number 4 only. The same illustration, that is illustration number 4. I'm using the figures and the question, that is illustration number 4. So the name itself says you have to repeatedly distribute the overheads of service department. So let's start with distribution of overheads of service department X. Distribution of X. So the total overheads of service department X is 4,75,000. And it is given in the question that 45% will go to X. So this will be 213. 750. 15% will go to B. Sorry, 45% will go to A. 15% will go to B. So 71, 250. And 30% will go to C. So this is 142,500. And further, 10% will go to Y. So this will be 47,500. Now we will distribute the overheads of Y. So distribution of overheads of Y. Now see, 5,35,000 are the total overheads of Y, plus certain percentage of X is apportioned to Y, that is 47,500. So the total overheads that need to be distributed is 5,82,500. That is 5,35,000 plus 47,500. So the total overhead that will be distributed So the total overhead that will be distributed will be 5,82,500, and it is given in the question that 60% goes to A. So 349,500. 35% will go to B. So this will be 203875. And 5% will go to X. So this will be 29,125. This will be 29,120. Now again we will distribute X because the name itself says you have to repeatedly distribute the overheads. So now again we will distribute X. So distribution of X. So the overheads are 29,125 that need to be distributed. Because this much overheads are already distributed, so the overheads that need to be distributed is 29,125. So 45% goes to A. That is 13,106. 15% to B. So this will be 4,369. %30 goes to C. So this will be 8,737. And 10% will go to Y. So this will be 2,913. 2,913. Now again we will distribute the Y. This process we will carry on till we get the two-digit figure. So now here in 2,913 we have got from Y. So again distribution of Y. So 2,913. So of this 2,913, 60% will go to A. So 1,748. 35% goes to B. So this will be 1,019. And 5% goes to X. So this will be 145. Now again we will redistribute X because still we have got the figures in 3 digits. Once we get a two-digit figure, then we will distribute directly to the production department. So we will redistribute X. So distribution of X. So 145 into 45%. So this will be 65. This will be 22. This will be 43. And this will be 15. So now since we have got that, since we have got a two-digit figure, so it will be distributed directly to the production department. So distribution of Y. So 60% will go to product A. So this will be 9 and this will be 6. So this is how the total overheads will be distributed. The name itself says repetitive distribution. That is, you have to repeatedly distribute till you guys get the two-digit figure, and that two-digit figure will be distributed directly to the production department. So now let's calculate the total overheads. Let's calculate the total overheads of A, B, and C. So 2,70,000, 213,750. 848, 178. 650, 541. 751, 283. If you guys have any doubts in this method, you guys can please post your query. I'm done with the repeated distribution method. Again, the answer will be the same whether you apply repeated distribution method or simultaneous equation method or trial and error method. So whatever the queries you guys have, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries. Santosh Das, instead of focusing on all these things, better focus on what I'm discussing right now. Anyone else having any doubts? Waiting for your queries, guys. Yes, Preeti, but yes, it is time consuming. So I still suggest if the question is silent, you can apply simultaneous equation method, but this method is time consuming. Yes, Shweta. So now done with this method. So now let's start with the next method, the trial and error method. Again, we'll be using the same figures. Now there are two service department X and Y. We have got the overheads as per primary distribution. That is 4,75,000 and 5,35,000. Now let's start with this method. Herein, again, the same question. Herein it is given that 10% of the overheads of service department X goes to Y. So let's distribute 10% of the overheads of X to Y. So distribution of X. So 10% will go to Y. So this will be 47,500. Now again, we'll distribute Y. So 535 plus 47,500. 5,35,000 plus 47,500. That is 582, 5%. 582, 582, 500 of this 5% goes to X. So I'll write the total for your reference. So the total overheads of Y are 582, 500. Of this, 5% will go to X. So distribution of Y. So 5%, that is 29,125, will go to X. Now again, we'll distribute the overheads to X. Five percent will go to Y. So 29,125 into 5%. Sorry, 29,125. So 10% will go to Y. So 2913 will go to Y. Again, 5% of Y will go to X. So distribution of Y. So 2913 into 5%. That is 145. Again, we'll distribute X. That is 10% will go to Y. So that is 145 into 10%, 15. So this much distribution is more than sufficient. So now we'll calculate the total overheads of X and Y. So this will be 4,75,000 plus 29,125 plus 145. So 504,270 and 5,35,000. 5,35,000 plus 47,500 plus 2,913 plus 15. That is 5,85428. This will be the total overheads of Y. Now we will distribute it to the various production department A, B, C as what we have discussed in simultaneous equation method. Now study material में क्या किया है, इन लोगों ने figures round off किए हैं. So it's up to you whether to round off the figures or not. It's completely up to you to round off the figures or not. Either you can take the same figures and distribute it to A, B and C, or you can round off. It's up to you. But yes, from my perspective, or if in my opinion, better to keep these figures only while writing exams. Exam में आप round off मत कीजिए. So herein we have three production department, that is A, B, and C. We have got the overheads as per primary distribution. So we have got the overheads as per primary distribution, that is now we'll distribute X, that is 504, 504,270. Of this 504,270, 45% will go to A. So 22,692. This will go to A. 45% will go to A. 15% will go to B. So 75641. And 30% will go to C. This will be 151. The remaining 10% is already distributed to Y, so you have to ignore. So ultimately, we are distributing only the 90% amount. Similarly, Y will be distributed wherein the total overheads are 585,428. We are distributing only 95% of Y because 5% is already distributed to X. So 585,428 into 60%. So 351,257. So this will be 351,257. 35% will go to again. I have distributed for better clarity. I am distributing 45%, 15%, and 30% of the total amount. I'm talking about this amount. So ultimately, लास्ट साइमल्टेनियस इक्वेशन में किसी स्टूडेंट ने क्वेरी रेज किया था, सर अमाउंट मैच नहीं हो रहा है. सो द पॉइंट इज द टोटल ऑफ ऑल दीज थ्री विल बी इक्वल टू 504,270 into 90%. Similarly herein also, again the total of these two will be how much? 585,428 into 95%. So this is the total. The total of this will be 95% of this amount. So now let's calculate the total amount. $270,000 double two. So this will be 848,178. This will be 650,541. So we are done with trial and error method. And as we have discussed this illustration for with all the three methods, that is trial and error method, simultaneous equation method, and repeated distribution method. And in all the three methods, the answer is same. So if the question is silent, you can use either of the method. It's completely up to you. But yes, if the question clearly mentions that you have to apply this method, then you have to follow the instructions as given in the question. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. Waiting for your queries, guys. Yes, Shweta. In all the three methods, the answer will be the same. That's why I have taken illustration number 4 so that I can cover the primary distribution in detail. If we solve this question, then in all the three methods, the answer will be the same. Yes, Shweta, the easiest method is simultaneous equation method. You will get the correct answer. Hardly there are any chances of mistake. So I personally suggest you to use simultaneous equation method because it's not that time consuming as compared to these two methods, that is repetitive distribution method or trial and error method. So whatever the methods you use, the answer will be the same. So giving you 5 minutes time, whatever the queries you have in simultaneous equation method or repetitive distribution method or trial and error method, you guys can please post your query. We are done with distribution of overhead. So the next part, absorption, will be starting. So before that, I want you guys to be thorough with distribution. That is, what is allocation, what is apportionment, what is reapportionment, why we are distributing the overhead, why we are reapportioning the overhead. So if you guys have any queries in this part, you guys can please post your query. Whatever the queries are, I'll try to address. Good, Neha. Yes, Shweta. It is more or less same, Preeti. Great, Kadambari. Shweta, Maruti, not actually. Any doubts, Preeti, Prashant, Amit, Sushil, Avinash, Ankur, Pradunan, Harish? Any doubts? Anyone? Nisha Kumari, Sham? Sham, I am done with trial and error method. Earlier you posted a query that, sir, is this the trial and error method? So I am done with this method. Giving you 2 more minutes time. Whatever the queries you have, what is the difference between allocation, apportionment? You guys can please post your query. I'll be discussing this part as and when the chapter comes. Don't worry, Manish. See, I've got a query from Jennifer, sir. How can we distribute 504270? See, 504270 directly you do 45%. Or alternatively, what you can do is 504, it's simple mathematics, my dear. 504270 into you do 90%, and then you can distribute it in the ratio of 45 is to 15 is to 30. The answer will be the same. So better, why to do extra calculation? Better ignore the remaining 5% or 10% and just calculate the balance amount. That is simple and easy and less time consuming. Perfect, Vadlakshmi. So let's summarize what I have discussed till now. We in distribution, the overheads can be distributed in either via allocation or apportionment. When talking about allocation, what is allocation? Wherein when the overheads are incurred separately and can be distributed directly, we do allocate the overhead. But when the overheads are not, when the overheads are not incurred separately, they are incurred as a whole. So we need to apportion the overheads. For this, we have to identify the basis of apportionment, and then only we can apportion the overhead. So this is what we call as primary distribution. That is allocation and apportionment. We call it as primary distribution. So after primary distribution, we need to redistribute the overheads of service department to the production department to calculate the total cost, since no units are manufactured in service department. So we redistribute the overheads of service department to the production department. So in redistribution, two situations are possible, wherein if service department provides services only to the production department, in that case, we will apply direct redistribution method. If service department provides services to the production department as well as other service department, then two approaches are possible. That is non-reciprocal, wherein we discuss step ladder method. In that step ladder method, what you have to find out, you have to first find out the order of distribution. That is kisko pehle distribution karna. Now, when talking about reciprocal method, that is if X is providing to Y, Y is providing to X, we'll be using reciprocal method. This is basically the reciprocal approach. In reciprocal approach, there are three methods that are possible. That is simultaneous equation method, repetitive distribution method, and trial and error method. So all these three methods we are done with. So we are done with all the three methods: allocation, apportionment. Okay, there are a few queries. Equation in Hindi. Smita, can you be please more clear? So you have to follow the instructions that are given in the question, Sushil. Still, if the question is silent, I suggest you to use simultaneous equation method because it's not that time consuming. So done with distribution of overheads. So now let's proceed further with the next part, that is absorption of overhead. So absorption. So now the hard work, all the exercise is over. Now the last part, that is absorption. Now the point is, what's the meaning of absorption? Then we will discuss how to absorb the overheads. So herein, let me discuss this concept again practically with the help of an example. So let's say I'm a manufacturer. I do manufacture 7 to 8 types of product. I repeat again, guys. I'm a manufacturer and I do manufacture 7 to 8 types of product. And every product has to pass through my two production department. Let's say every product has to pass through my two production department, that is assembly and packing and finishing department. I have two production department. These are my production department. That is assembly and packing and finishing. So every product of mine has to pass through these two production department or to these two processes before being converted into final product. And we have got the overheads after primary distribution, reapportionment, and let's say the total overheads are 6 lakh and 10 lakh. This is overheads after distribution. Overheads after distribution. That is primary distribution. For more clarity, I'm writing primary plus reapportionment, whatever it is. So I repeat again, guys, I'm a manufacturer. I do manufacture 6 to 7 types of product. And I have two production department, and every product has to pass through these two production department before being converted into final product. Now let's say I have received a job order. Let's say job order number 0510 of product X. I do manufacture 6 to 7 types of product, but yes, I have received a job order number 0510 of product X. In this, the material cost that is incurred is, let's say, 20,000. Further, the labor cost as incurred is, let's say, total 2,000 hours we are going to take, and we are paying labor at the rate rupees 6 per hour. We have to work for 2,000 hours and we are paying labor at the rate, let's say, 8 rupees per hour. So this will be 16,000. Further, my direct expenses are, let's say, 4,000. So 20,000, 16,000 and 4,000, total 20,000 is the cost. Further, some machine hours are also required for this job. Let's say machine hours are also required for this job. Let's say machine hours for this job is, let's say, 2,000 hours. For this job order number 0510, we need 2,000 labor hours and let's say 1,000 machine hours. Let's keep it 1,000 only. So for this job order number 0510, we need 2,000 labor hours and 1,000 machine hours. Now my point is, the total of these three, that is labor direct expenses, that is the 20,000. Is this the total cost of this job? The answer to this question is no, this is not the total cost. Why? Because to calculate the total cost, we need to charge the overheads of these two production departments to this job to calculate the total cost. I repeat again, is this the total cost? No. What we have to do, we need to charge the overheads of these two production departments to this job to calculate the total cost. Now the point is how. So the answer to this question is via absorption. So herein, let's say my assembly department is more or less very machine intensive. So machine hours are given for this assembly department. Let's say 2 lakh machine hours we have overall work in assembly department. Further, when talking about the labor hours, let's say the packing and finishing department is more labor incentive, and total hours we work in packing and finishing department is 5 lakhs hours. So what we will do, we will first calculate the absorption rate. What we will do, we will first calculate the absorption rate, and that rate is used to charge the overheads of these production department to this job to calculate the total cost. So what we will do is, see, we will first calculate the absorption rate. So what we will do, see, total 6 lakh are my overheads of assembly department, and the machine hour worked in assembly department is 2 lakh. So what will be the absorption rate? We can easily say that 6 lakh overheads for 2 lakh hours. So for every hour, how much overheads? Rupees 3 per hour. Again, when talking about packing and finishing, again, the total overheads are 10 lakh. And since the department is labor intensive, so we will absorb the overheads on the basis of labor hours. So 10 lakh is for 5 lakh hours. So how much will be for 1 hour? Rupees 2 per. So we have got the absorption rate, that is how to absorb the overhead. What is absorption rate? That is the total overhead divided by the basis of absorption. So herein, since assembly department is machine intensive, this information will always be given in the question. आपको किस basis पे absorb करना है, this information will always be given in the question. So herein we have calculated the absorption rate, and that rate will be used to charge the overheads. To charge the overheads of these two production departments to this job to calculate the total cost. So herein, when talking about the calculation of total cost, we have to consider the overheads also. So for assembly and packing and finishing, So assembly is more or less what? Machine intensive. That is rupees 3 per hour will be the overheads for every machine hour work. And for this job, the machine hours are how much? 1000 hours. So the overheads are how much for assembly? 3. So this will be 3000. Again, packing and finishing, it is given in the, we have already calculated that the packing cost will be rupees 2 per hour. That is for every labor hour work, we do spend rupees 2 for packing and finishing. So the labor hour worked are 2000. So 2000 into 2, that is 4000. So now we can easily calculate the total cost, that is 27,000. So this will be the cost of this job. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your queries. So what we do in absorption basically, first of all, we identify the basis of absorption. What we have to do, we have to identify the basis of absorption. Now, this information will always be given in question. Given first, you have to identify the basis of absorption, then calculate absorption rate. Once the absorption rate is calculated, this absorption rate will be used to charge the overheads of production department. So in absorption, we identify the basis of absorption. The basis of absorption, जैसे इस क्वेश्चन में मैंने basis of absorption machine hours और labor hours था, ये given the question में कि assembly overheads are to be absorbed on the basis of machine hours and packing and finishing overheads are to be absorbed on the basis of labor hours. So this information will always be given in the question. So thereafter we have to calculate the absorption rate, and that absorption rate will be used to charge the overheads of the production department to a particular job or a product to calculate the total cost. So I repeat again, guys, when talking about the concept of absorption, ये जो hard work किया था, distribution, redistribution, the major objective was what? To calculate the cost of a product or to calculate the cost of a job. So herein, how to calculate? We have to charge the overheads of the production department. And how to charge the overheads of the production department? Via absorption. And in absorption, what we do? We have to first identify the basis of absorption. This information will always be given in the question. In most of the cases, this information will be given in the question. Thereafter, once the basis of absorption is identified, you calculate the absorption rate. ये absorption rate निकाल दीजिए. And with the help of this rate, you can charge the overhead of these two production departments to a particular job or to a particular product to calculate the total cost. So what we have done, we have first identified the basis of absorption, that is machine hours, labor hours. Thereafter, we have calculated the absorption rate. And thirdly, we have charged the overheads of these production department to this job to calculate the total cost. So herein we have got the absorption rate, that is rupees 3 per machine hour and rupees 2 per labor hour. So for every machine hour worked, We are spending rupees 3 in assembly. So herein in this job, we have worked for 1000 machine hour. So the assembly cost that will be charged to this job will be 3000. And for this, the packing and finishing cost that will be, I mean, the cost of packing and finishing department will be charged to this job will be rupees 4000. So this is what the concept of absorption. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can please post your query. This part also I'll be discussing separately. Don't worry. Sorry, this is 30,000. 20 plus 20, 40, 47. This is 47. Thank you so much, Preeti, but it is not 37, it is 47. 20 plus 16 plus 4, that is 40,000 plus 3 plus 4, 7,000. I'll be discussing this part also, Manish Kumar. Don't worry. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can please post your query. I request you guys to please copy the explanation and you can write the comment in your notepad. What I have explained, it will help you while revising for the exams. So giving you 2 minutes time to please copy. So there is a query from Manohar Yadav, sir. See, suppose I paid salary to the workers who are directly engaged in production. So will it be direct or indirect? So see, if you are paying wages to the workers, it is direct expenses and it will form part of labor cost. So Sushil, Avinash, Manish, Neha, Jennifer, Kiran, Sakshi, Kadambri, Shweta, any doubts? Manish, Ankur, Santosh, Prashant, Prudunan, Parth Rana, any doubts? Harish, any doubts? I hope you guys are thorough with the concept of absorption. Why absorption? Because via absorption, we can charge the overheads of a production department to a particular job or to a particular product to calculate the total cost. How? We have to first identify the basis की basis identify कीजिए, absorption rate निकालिए और उस rate की help से आप प्रोडक्ट का टोटल कॉस्ट या जॉब का टोटल कॉस्ट निकाल सकते हैं. 20,000 is material, 16,000 is labor, 4,000 are direct expenses. Let's assume, I have assumed all these figures are assumed here. This information is given in the question. See, Manohar Yadav, if you are paying salaries to the staff, if they are working in factory and if they are directly involved in manufacturing a product, it will form part of wages. See, you are talking the concept of wages and the word what you are using is salary. Anyone else having any doubt as far as the concept of absorption is concerned? Waiting for your queries. It's already 9:32. That's okay. Thank you so much, Suman. I request you guys to please copy this concept. So guys, enough of discussion for today. We are done with the two parts of chapter, that is meaning of overheads and second is distribution and absorption of overhead. I request you guys to solve few questions of study material plus the past practice manual. Right now, I mean, the institute is not issuing practice manual, but it is available over internet. You can simply write IPCC practice manual. Just check the practice manual and try to solve few questions on distribution and absorption from the past practice manual. Otherwise, you can refer. The past papers or MTPs or RTPs for practice. Still, if the time permits, I'll try to upload 15 to 20 questions on overhead. That's it for the day. Thank you so much for active participation in the session. Thank you so much for your patience. I request every one of you to pay attention and you guys can put up queries, whatever the queries you have. ICAI are conducting these classes for the benefit of students, that काफी students ऐसे हैं जो classes नहीं जा पाते हैं or they are finding difficulty in understanding these things. So ICAI has taken an initiative for the students. So I request that whosoever your friends are, tell them to join the sessions, and whatever the queries are, you guys can put up these queries freely over the portal. I'll try my level best to address all your queries. I just want that each and every student of mine, not even it's like कि 50% students को समझ में आ गया, 50% को नहीं समझ में आया. I want each and every student of mine to be thorough with the concepts of whatever the chapters I'm discussing. So thank you so much, guys, for your time and patience. I request you guys to do practice the questions what I have on the concepts what I have discussed. You'll feel more confident while attending the next session. In the next session, we'll be discussing meaning and treatment of under or over absorption of overhead, plus one or two questions on machine hour rate. Further, I'll be putting a few questions in front of you in the live session. So be prepared for the next class. See you guys day after tomorrow. God bless you. Enjoy your day. Thank you so much. Manish sir, I am done with